Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and I don't have my camera turned on, so how about we go over and do this? And this is Open Mic. How you doing, guys? Now, listen, what is Open Mic? Well, on the John Campea Show, Monday through Friday every day, we do the show, but we save a little bit of time at the second half of the show to take live questions. But here on the weekends, that's all we want to do, is take live questions from you guys, and that's what we're going to do. Couple things I want to talk about here first. Before we go into it, I'm hoping you're all having a wonderful weekend already and having a great time. I myself am looking forward to this evening. Big UFC fights tonight, guys. 3 title fights on the line tonight on the big UFC event. I got some friends coming over. Dennis is coming over. Johnny Green is coming over. My friend Ryan. We got some friends coming over. Going to have some food, going to watch some UFC fights. It's going to be great. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to lead in a little something personal too. A little bit later this afternoon, I mean, this well, none of you will care about this, but it's a big deal to me. You know, Anna and I, for as long as we've never owned a house. Never owned a house. We live in LA. It's way too expensive to own a house. We just, you know, despite the fact that we both have jobs, it's been too hard, but we're going to look at a house this afternoon. And as normal, as regular a thing as that is for most people, it's a pretty big deal for me. So I'm actually really excited that we're going to go watch, that we're going to go look at a house this afternoon, then have some friends come over, watch some UFC tonight. Very excited about all that. But I'd be remiss, and for those of you who follow me on social media, you'll know what I'm going to talk about now. I'd be completely remiss if I didn't bring this up. We knew it was coming, but it happened last night at around somewhere between midnight and 2 a.m., It happened. The John Campea YouTube channel last night crossed 100 million views. We crossed the 100 million view mark, guys. And I want to talk about that for a second. And obviously I'll talk more about it on the John Campea Show on Monday. But I just wanted to say here the deepest of depth thank yous to all of you guys who have supported me, the channel, the people on the channel, both in the last year or two and just over the width and the span of my career and doing this. You have no idea how many times I've been told that the type of programming I do, you know, not short 2-minute things, not a lot of hate videos, not a lot of trailer reactions, not a lot of stuff, but I was told so many times by people at YouTube as well that, you know, the type of programming I do just cannot work on YouTube. You can't just have talking head for 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever on YouTube and have it work. And I just knew that these were the types of shows that I enjoyed watching, so I figured, hey, if I enjoy watching it, there's got to be some other people that enjoy watching this type of thing too. So I've just continued down the path and doing it. And we crossed 100. I never thought, I thought I could succeed going it on my own. I thought I could make it work. I don't know if I ever thought we'd hit 100 million views though. And so I am overwhelmed with gratitude to all you guys who have been here, who have watched the videos, who have sent me positive, encouraging notes, who have just been here along the way with me, and I'm very, very grateful. Now, again, I'll talk more about that on Monday's John Campea Show, but I also want to talk about this. You know how on Facebook you get these reminders? Hey, John, 1 year ago today, you posted this. You know how you get that on Facebook? I got the weirdest notification on Facebook, and that weirdest notification was that it was 5 years ago, within 24 hours, that it was exactly 5 years ago that we had the AMC Movie News 100 million view party. Exactly 5 years ago, within 24 hours, that that I got to announce that we've crossed the 100 million view mark. That I then find out, and I totally forgot about this, completely forgot about this, that it was exactly 5 years ago, in December of 2014, that we celebrated the 100 million views at AMC Movie News, which I was kind of freaked out by it, and I told Ann that this morning, and she was like, "That's weird." I'm like, "I know, right? That is weird." So there was that, and I got an email from a buddy of mine today that said, John, don't lose sight of the fact that this is the second YouTube channel. This is the second YouTube channel that I've been able to take over 100 million views. Only this one, we've done it faster than we did at AMC, which I don't know how we did that. But again, super big thank you to all of you guys. And again, there were other pictures too, but this is the one that came up on Facebook. What a group of individuals there. And obviously, there's a bittersweet thing there having Schnepp there in the picture, but Dennis is there. He'll be coming over to my place tonight to watch UFC. Christian, of course, is going to be here on Tuesday to do Dark Side, Light Side. Of course, I still continue to talk with Mark. What an incredible group. But it also reminds me that through the years, not only now today, but through the years, I have been able and fortunate enough to work with an incredible slew of people. From today, people like Robert Meyer Burnett, Aaron Cummings, we got Chris Carr on, Ashley Whalen, who was on recently, working with people like fact checker Jonathan Ray, who I also had working with me over at AMC, and to the people I've worked with historically. And I've just been very, very fortunate, and yeah, it's just a really nice day for me. I gotta admit, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm having a really nice day. It's Saturday. We get to do open mic. We hit 100 million views. I'm reminded it's the 5-year anniversary of when we hit 100 million views on AMC. I got friends coming over tonight to watch UFC. Ann and I are going to go look at a house. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Today, we have a lot of crappy days. All of us, we have a lot of crappy days, but every once in a while we get to have some really good days. And I gotta say, today's a really good day. Anyway, with all that down and out of the way, let's not waste any more time and let's get to the live questions that you guys have sent in. I want to remind you, there's 2 ways to send in live questions for the John Campea Show, including a new one. The new one is this. If you look in the top line of the description of this video, there is a link there, a tip link. And if you send in a tip and support the channel, you get to write in a question as well. That gets on. But here's the neat thing about that tip link. It works 24/7. So you don't have to wait until there's a new show. You can actually go in there, leave a question, and it'll be one of the first questions answered on the next show that we do. Or you can throw it in there and have it answered today. And of course, there's still the traditional way of using Super Chat here on YouTube as well. So that's where we're going to get these questions from. So let's not waste any more time and get in right to it. And the first question today we're going to get started on comes to us from Nico, who writes, so after the new trailer, it seems Snoke's words in The Force Awakens ending, "Return to me with Kylo Ren, it's time to complete his training," will make sense after all. I hope at least, like killing Snoke was the final part of Sheev's training for Kylo. Keep up the good work. I'm not sure about that. Now, but keep this in mind too. I had a number of you guys writing into me prior to this latest trailer dropping saying, "Hey, John, do you think maybe it's a possibility that it was Palpatine that was talking to Kylo through Darth Vader's helmet?" And what I said at the time was, I said, well, it's possible, but I've never seen anything in the movie that suggests that Kylo has been having 2-way conversations with Darth Vader's helmet. How somebody, if you've, we see in movies, somebody lost their dad and they hold up something that belongs to their dad. "Dad, what do I do?" I mean, we don't expect that it's a 2-way conversation, which is them reaching out and talking into the universe, if you will. And I've always said that while that's possible, I feel like that the movies have never suggested it's a 2-way conversation, but who knows? But then that trailer comes out and kind of confirms it's been a 2-way conversation going on. So listen, I don't know, Nico, that what you're phrasing up. For instance, I never thought it didn't make sense that he said, "Bring me Kylo Ren. It's time for me to complete his training." I never thought that was inconsistent. I never thought that didn't make sense. I always thought it was perfectly fine the way it was. So who knows, Nico? That could be something that comes into play here. Maybe the death of Snoke is something that Palpatine orchestrated. Maybe it's something he didn't. I mean, I don't know at this point, but I don't think it is, but I'm not taking anything off the table anymore. It's totally a possibility, Nico, so we'll have to wait and see. All right. Mr. Omega writes, John, here are 5 movies: Jupiter Ascending, Jack and Jill Armageddon, John Carter of Mars, Sucker Punch. Can you guess what this is? You know what? I think I might have answered that question last week too. You know what? I did. I'm starting on, but you know what? Who cares? You get the bonus of getting it answered twice. As I said on the show yesterday, I don't know what the answer to that is, unfortunately. Jake Iyer writes, sad to see Danny Aiello go. He was brilliant in Hudson Hawk. His performance as Tony Five Tone was one of the performances that made the movie. R.I.P. And yeah, we talked about the passing of Danny Aiello yesterday. He's in my all-time favorite Spike Lee movie. He was in one of the great, truly underappreciated movies today, Moonstruck, with Nicolas Cage and Cher. He was wonderful in that. But he's been such a veteran presence in movies for so long, and it really is a loss to the movie community on his passings. But hey, he passed away at the age of 86. He had a brilliant, wonderful career, and by all accounts, a brilliant, wonderful life. All right, Jordan writes, watch Parasite and you'll see Bong Joon-ho made creative directing choices. Many moments there is a line in set design or camera angle dividing characters from both families to highlight separation in class. He's a dark horse for best director. Oh, he's not a dark horse. No. I don't necessarily think he's the front runner, but he's not a dark horse. Like a dark horse is like, yeah, well, I don't even know if they're going to get nominated. Oh, he's getting nominated. I'll be really, let's put it this way. I can't guarantee that, obviously, but I will be surprised if Bong Joon-ho does not get nominated for Parasite. I'll be surprised. I do not think he is a dark horse in the least. I believe he is legitimately in the running. Not necessarily a front runner, not necessarily a lock, but I absolutely believe he is legitimately in the running. And there's so many creative things they do in that movie that are just so different from a lot of films that we see today. It was really an incredible job that he did. And Parasite right now is my number 2 favorite movie of the year. Love that film, and I love what he did with it. All right, Jordan writes, recently, the film with heart wins Best Picture. Shape of Water, Moonlight, Spotlight, King's Speech, Green Book, Jojo Rabbit, or my prediction, Parasite, could win in preferential ballot system since Irishman/Hollywood are assumed to be number 1 choices. I don't know that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is considered number 1 choice. Like, I've always believed, like, I don't love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I like it. And I think the performances in it are stupid good. I don't love the movie, but I've said from day one, even though I don't love that movie, I believe it's going to get a solid Best Picture nomination and it'll have a solid chance. Why? Because Hollywood loves movies about Hollywood. It really does. And that makes them no different than everybody else. We all love, movies or TV shows or stories about things that we ourselves are associated with. And the Academy is no different. Hollywood loves movies about Hollywood. But when you look at those winners, particularly movies like Moonlight and Spotlight, phenomenal effing movies. Green Book, which all I can do is snicker at people who say, how could Green Book possibly win? I'm like, oh God. I still understand how there are so many people who act so surprised. First of all, Green Book was a deserving winner. There are other films that could have won that also would have been deserving winners, but Green Book was a deserving winner of Best Picture. That movie is fucking fantastic. But on top of that, all awards season, Green Book was going around collecting all these big wins at all the award shows. Not every single one, but Green Book was just going around collecting honor after honor after honor at a whole ton of the award shows, and all ton of the awards organizations were naming Green Book Best Picture of the Year. And then everybody acts so shocked and surprised. What? Green Book won Best Picture? Like, have you not been paying attention? That movie's freaking awesome. And it was winning awards all season. How can you possibly act so shocked? Like, I will never understand that. I really won't. So I just got to snicker whenever the debate about Green Book comes out. Anyway, when you look at those films, movies like Jojo Rabbit and Parasite fit right in with those films. Now, I'm not saying either one of them are going to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. I do think Irishman is a front runner right now. That said, I am also not going to fall out of my chair in shock or surprise if Jojo Rabbit, which is my pick for best film of the year right now, by the way, is Jojo Rabbit. But I'm not going to be shocked or surprised if Jojo Rabbit or Parasite, which is my number 2 favorite film of the year, if either one of them win. I'm just not going to be surprised. I think it'll be Irishman. I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has a legitimate shot. But yeah, it could absolutely, if you look at the history of them, Jordan, these are actually films that do fit that mold. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, Ryan Lohner writes, where are we at? There he is. The latest Mandalorian does one of my favorite tropes, the mook horror show, where we see how the hero is a terrifying monster from the bad guy's perspective. True. One of the best is the climax of 28 Days Later. That's true too. And of course, one of the greatest examples of that in recent memory in movies is John Wick, right? The Baba Yaga. That's a great example of that. But yes, if you're one of the opposition, if you will, and you see the Mandalorian at work, he becomes the monster. He's the monster. He's the serial killer that's unstoppable. He's the supernatural serial killer, the Jason, the Freddy that just keeps coming. That's him from their perspectives. And I actually quite liked, it's not my favorite episode of Mandalorian so far, but I really liked this episode of Mandalorian and all the cameos that are in it. The dude who does the voice of Anakin Skywalker as the New Republic Guard. You had 3 directors of Mandalorian as the X-Wing pilots, including Dave Filoni. Deborah Chow was one of them, who's going to be directing the upcoming Obi-Wan show. It was a lot of good stuff in there. All right, the nerd Aaron writes, One, Birds of Prey trailers focusing on Harley means squat to her actual screen time. 2, Die Hard is an alternative Christmas movie because it lacks the tone and themes of a traditional Christmas movie, but still good to watch on Christmas. I don't disagree with that. Look, that's the thing. The whole debate about is Die Hard a Christmas movie? It's not, but it all depends on your definition of a Christmas movie. Some people have a looser definition. Actually, a lot of people have a looser definition of a Christmas movie. If it takes place at Christmas, then it's a Christmas movie. Okay. To me, I have a little bit of a stricter definition. To me, like the whole spirit of Christmas and what Christmas is an inherent, intrinsical part of what the story and the narrative of the movie is. That's clearly not Die Hard. But if you hold another definition of a Christmas movie, Die Hard does fit into it. So that's where the problem comes with this big heated debate about is Die Hard a Christmas movie. The debate isn't really is Die Hard a Christmas movie. The debate really is how do we define a Christmas movie? Because some people like me, like if you understand my definition and a lot of people like me, our definitions of a Christmas movie, then you'd go, yeah, Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie. However, if you hold another definition of what a Christmas movie is, you would look at Die Hard and go, yes, it's absolutely a Christmas movie. So the debate isn't really, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? The debate is, how do we define a Christmas movie? So I think that's pretty clear there. And look, I think if you don't know that they're making Harley Quinn the centerpiece of this upcoming movie, I don't know what to tell you. They are listen, this whole movie was getting made because of the popularity of Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. That's the whole reason this movie's getting made. So if you don't think that she's going to be the centerpiece of the movie, I don't know, man. I mean, anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. We could go in there. Maybe she's not that big of a part, but this whole movie is only getting made because of her. So, yeah, if it wasn't for the popularity of Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, this Birds of Prey movie does not happen. It just doesn't happen. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll find out soon enough. All right, Harry Mudd writes, take Italian Job, mix in Crank and Fast and Furious on overdrive. That's Six Underground in a nutshell. Watched it Friday night and loved it. Completely bonkers, nuts, and loads of fun. I watched Six Underground as well. And I'll tell you this. First 15 minutes, awesome. Segments of the movie throughout, awesome. Terrific action. They set up a really good, I guess you could call it mythology around this group, around this team. Some really bad storytelling decisions, though. Like, look, I'm all for some non-linear story telling, and I'm not going to give anything away about Six Underground if you haven't seen it yet. But They tell the story. You can do nonlinear storytelling in a very coherent, great way that makes it really solid. The story of this movie was told very incoherently. It was told very incoherently. A very, 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 very one-dimensional villain. And it's just a lot of times they did certain things that made no sense and whatever. So overall, I did not think Six Underground was that great. I thought, as always, the good Canadian kid Ryan Reynolds was awesome in it. Of course he is. I thought a number of the cast were really kind of cool and very good. Visually, it was fantastic, but we expect no less from Michael Bay. Michael Bay's going to deliver the goods when it comes to action and explosions. He's going to deliver the goods every single time. And sometimes he'll deliver all the other stuff as well, and sometimes he doesn't. I just kind of feel like this was a very incoherently told movie that has some glorious moments, some great fun in it here and there. Overall, I liked it. I'm glad I watched it, but to me, not a great movie. But that's just me. All right. Jeff Charles writes, I'm convinced Michael Bay is a 12-year-old that was given permission to make multi-million-dollar films. Every action scene in Six Underground was long-winded and almost nonsensical. But there's an art to that. Like, the big action sequences I ate up. You're right. This movie, the action sequences are long, but I thought they were glorious. I mean, that's the part of Six Underground to me that really worked. And not a lot of it did, but those are the parts that really did. And by the way, by the time you end this movie and you understand that you have this team, this is their backgrounds, this is how they formed, this is what they do. While I did not love this movie, sign me up for a sequel. I would love to see a sequel. I feel a lot the way I felt about the original Underworld with Kate Beckinsale. Great mythology they set up, fabulous concept, some very, very cool elements in it, but not told in the best way and ultimately didn't live up to its potential. But because it had all that good stuff in it, even though I didn't love Underworld, I'm like, but I'd totally be down for a sequel. Because if they could fix a couple of these little problems that they have, if they can fix those problems, but maintain that core DNA of what these characters are and what this movie's about, if you can maintain that and fix a few problems and do a sequel, I'm all in. And so if they were to announce tomorrow a Six Underground sequel, I'm down for it. Didn't love this movie. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. But I would be down for a sequel. All right. An anonymous user writes in, Hey, John, I have the luxury of being born in 1995, so I actually enjoy the prequels. Hey, listen, I know a lot of people born in that era who do not enjoy the prequels, so it's not about when you're born. And I know a lot of people who were born much earlier than that also enjoy the prequels, so it's not about when you're born. My earliest memory is seeing episode 1 in theaters with my dad. After my last final on Friday, I'm heading home to watch episodes 7 and 8 with him, and then we're going to go see the new one. That's awesome. That's very similar to my regular tradition. My regular tradition is I go home around Christmas time, and I'm still not sure if I'm going to get it with the house thing. And I'm still not positive I'm going to be able to get home at Christmas time this year, but I'm trying. Anyway, my tradition has become going home around Christmas time and taking my family to go see the new Star Wars movie, whatever that may be. It is a great tradition, dude, and I'm glad you're doing it, and I hope you and your dad have a fabulous time, my friend. All right. Anonymous also writes, I want to wish you, Ann, and the crew happy holiday season. I hope you have a safe trip back to Canada to visit the family this year. I really hope I get back to Canada to visit the family this year. There's so much going on. I'm still working on it, and hopefully I can do that. So thank you, Anonymous. I appreciate that. Jay, the Oh My God ruler writes, I love My Hero Academia. A lot of people writing in about that recently. I have a feeling you will love it too. It's definitely worth watching. There's a fight that happens that feels reminiscent of Superman/Doomsday fight. It is my number one favorite anime of all time. My number one for a decade was Eden of the East. Ooh, Chris Carr was talking about that one not long ago. Yeah, My Hero Academia is a show that I've never watched, but my wife has been trying to get me to watch it. And in recent weeks, a lot of you guys have been recommending it heavily too. So I think at some point I may have to break down and just watch this thing. So I think you guys have pushed me to that point that, okay, I'll give it a shot. So sometime, I don't know if it'll happen before January because we got a lot going on, but at some time very soon, I'm going to sit down and watch My Hero Academia. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right. Anonymous writes, one of 3. Hi, John. I hope you have a great day. I'm having a wonderful day so far. Thank you. Lots of people said Star Wars movies are the reason they fell in love with movie making. To me, Pirates of the Caribbean is my Star Wars. I absolutely love the first 3 movies. Ooh, well, I love the first one. I'm not a big fan of any of the other ones, really. But I'll say this. Pirates of the Caribbean, I remember crapping on that movie before it came out, just when they announced it. Because it's like, what? You're making a movie based on a theme park ride. How utterly stupid can you be? You're making a movie based on a theme park ride. That is absolutely idiotic. This is going to be so stupid. And then the movie came out. And this is why you leave your baggage at the door when it's cool to have expectations and predictions about whether you think a movie will be good or will be terrible, whatever. But when you go see the movie, you got to leave all that at the door and just go in and give the movie a fair shot. And I love that first one, man. That first Pirates is so freaking good. It's a shame that, to me, the other ones never lived up to it. Yeah, the other Pirates movies just never lived up to the real goodness of that first one. But God, man, I love that one. And you're right, every generation will have their own, but Star Wars was a big one to a lot of people that inspired a lot of the filmmakers that we have today to make movies. And you hear a lot of directors talk about those ones, absolutely. All right, number 2. 2 of 3 writes, I was blown away by the world building, visuals, and epicness, not to mention Hans Zimmer's score. Zimmer's score in that is really good. Anyway, At World's End is my all-time favorite movie score. It's a shame that critics don't seem to like these movies. Although Pirates 4 and 5 is like Star Wars prequels to me, I pretend they don't exist. Good luck with the reboot, Disney. First of all, that music is one of the few pieces of music that Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings music. Most of the best iconic movie music is John Williams. I mean, really, when you think about it, all the biggest, most recognizable, instantly, everybody can hum it. That's all John Williams stuff. But there are a few, including the Pirates of the Caribbean music, that really stacks up there. And again, I'm not a fan, really. I mean, I thought the last Pirates of the Caribbean was actually the best one since the first. It still wasn't great, but I thought it was the best since the first. I'm not a big fan of all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but that first one, all day, man. All day, every day. All right. Luke1234 writes, I would burn Baby Groot to keep Baby Yoda. Of course, that's been a big question lately. It's like, what's better, Baby Groot or Baby Yoda? I would burn Baby Groot to keep Baby Yoda warm. Thanks for sending that in, man. Harry Mudd writes, 70 show still rocked. I never got into that 70 show. I watched a bunch of episodes. I never got into it. That and another popular one, Big Bang Theory, I never liked. But this is kind of weird. All right, Sheik writes, hey, Camp, do you still think Will Smith will be in the new... Do you think Will Smith will be in the new Suicide Squad? I don't think he is. Hold a second. Let me pull up here. The Suicide Squad. Yeah, I mean, could he make a cameo? Maybe. But I don't... here's the thing. Will Smith just did Aladdin, another movie that made $1 billion. If Will Smith is in your movie, you market that Will Smith is in your movie. Of course, that doesn't always work. I mean, hell, look at Gemini Man, right? But for the most part, his is the most marketable name out of anybody else who's going to be in the movie. So if Will Smith is in your movie, you advertise that stuff. You advertise that he's in your movie. So look, that doesn't mean it's not possible. Of course it is. These movies have surprised us before. These kinds of movies have always surprised us. So maybe he does. But I'm going to guess that he's not. Simply because from a studio point of view, from a marketing point of view, it will make your movie more money if you let people know Will Smith is there. Maybe not double the money, maybe not even 30% more money, but you will make some more money if you advertise that he's in it. Since there's been no marketing or publicity that he's in it, I'm going to guess that he's not. But again, these types of movies have a way of surprising us, so it's possible. Let's keep our eyes open. All right, Donaldo Martinez writes, Which is better? The Battle of Winterfell in Season 8 or Battle for Middle-earth and Return... Oh, Battle for Middle-earth, Return of the King. Are you kidding me? That kicks the shit out of everything. That's not even close. Like, don't get me wrong. The Battle for Winterfell is great. I loved it when you could see it properly because it was really dark. But I thought it was great. But no, that's nothing compared to... It's not even... Look, the battle at Helm's Deep wasn't even as good as the Battle at Gondor. And that one kicks the crap out of it too. Yeah, to me, man, it's subjective. It's all subjective. But to me, my personal opinion is that that's no contest, man. It's Return of the King all day, every day. And Harry Mudd follows up and says, the latter. Absolutely the latter, Harry. Absolutely the latter. Harry also writes, I just love Rise of the Guardians. It's such a good movie. If you're talking about Rise of the Guardians, The Owls of Gaul, if that's the one we're talking about, Zack Snyder directed animated film. I really like that movie. You know, I think Snyder's best movie ever is Man of Steel. Clearly. Obviously, that's me, because I love Man of Steel. I don't... Well, 300 would have to probably be his second one, but after 300, honestly, the Rise of the Guardians, The Owls of Gaul is a really underappreciated film. Not a lot of people have seen it, and I really enjoyed it. And it was exciting. It has great epic moments, and the music in it's great. And, you know, don't get me wrong, it's no Pixar movie per se, but I really quite like it, and I think more people should check it out. Anyway, Anonymous writes, what I meant about Viggo Mortensen yesterday was, and camping out in the lush South Island countryside where the film's dramatic and extensive exteriors were shot. Okay, that makes sense to me. Because yesterday, somebody wrote in, and they were talking about some of the lengths that Viggo Mortensen went to really get into the Strider character, to really get into the Lord of the Rings character that he was playing. And yes, he actually even went out there. There's a lot of cool stuff. Listen, the Lord of the Rings DVDs, not even Blu-rays, but the DVDs have hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of special features that go into it's like all these things about the making of the movie and what the actors did. And you should really check those out. So thanks for following up on that. I appreciate that. All right. Shinigami I writes, have you seen The Servant from Apple TV? No, I have not. Haven't seen that one. There's a lot on Apple TV I haven't seen it. I've started watching Morning Show, but that's really the only thing I've watched on Apple TV so far. Patrick Conway writes, favorite non-MCU movie role from an OG Avenger? Zodiac or RDJ. I'm actually one of those people that I don't like Zodiac as much as a lot of people do. I don't dislike it. Don't misquote me. I don't dislike it, but I don't like it as much as a lot of people do. Knives Out, Christopher Evans. I mean, it was a good character. He's really good in that. But Foxcatcher, Ruffalo, Rush, Hemsworth, Jojo Rabbit, ScarJo, and are these the only options you're giving me? Because there are many other options that are better. But if I had to pick out of those ones, Renner from Wind River, with runner-up being Hemsworth in Rush. Wind River is a movie, 2-3 years ago that came out? That was a movie that should have been nominated for Best Picture. I'm not saying it should have won, but it should have been nominated. And Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen were so bloody good in it. So bloody good in it. This is a movie that is utterly, ridiculously, undeniably powerful. And how it did not get nominated for Best Picture, I'll tell you what, is actually a little bit beyond me. It's a little bit beyond me how that movie didn't get nominated for Best Picture. It was absolutely fantastic. So, yes, if those are my only options, Patrick, I'm going to go Wind River with Jeremy Renner because, yeah, that performance was maybe the best of his career. That's saying something because he's had a hell of a career. All right. Triple J's Thoughts writes, thanks for answering my opera question. No problem. I am a professional opera singer. That's awesome. Actually, I have 2 jobs. Canada Post letter carrier by day, singer by night. Your calves must be huge. Film buff lover forever. Film buff forever. Thanks for being an inspiration and an unbelievable nobody. Your crew is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Triple J, and thank you for being one of the public servants who gets the mail to everybody. That's an unsung hero job, so thank you for that, for doing that. And that's awesome that you're an opera singer. Man, I still get chills. Like, I remember Ann and I used to watch The Voice. We haven't watched it in a couple years, but we used to watch The Voice when it first got started. And I remember when somebody would actually come out and start cranking out opera singing, it's like, okay, there you go. You know what I mean? But anyway, thanks for watching the show, man. And thanks for being a part of it. And thank you for being a part of the community, man. All right. Guy Volt writes, UFC 245 is stacked. Do you think any champions lose? I think Max Holloway loses. I think Amanda Nunes has a fight on her hand. I think she's got a fighter in her hand. But I think ultimately she wins. Usman wins. I actually think Max Holloway loses the title. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's a lock. I'm not guaranteeing that by any stretch of the imagination. It's going to be some great fights, but I think Max Holloway loses. All right. Rogue Mammoth writes, "Hi, John. Actor Ismael Cruz Cordova, who played the male Twi'lek in episode 6 of Mandalorian, used to play a character on Sesame Street called Mando." Really? I had no, like, that was an episode that was just filled with cameos. Like, was that Bill Burr in it as well? Just filled with these interesting cameos. I didn't know that one. I had no idea about that one, Rogue. You've totally put a new piece of trivia in my head for that. Now I gotta go back and check that out again. That's fascinating to me. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right, Samuel May writes, "I wish Matthew Rhys got a nomination for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. In my opinion, his performance was actually better than Tom Hanks." Well, I mean, it's irrelevant because they were running in two separate categories. So that's irrelevant. That has nothing to do with it. He, of course, was up for Best Lead Actor. But again, if you look at the lead actor stories, at the lead actor, not the lead actor stories, but at the lead actor people who are getting the nominations and stuff like that, it's hard. I mean, because it sounded like Robert De Niro even isn't going to get a nomination. Wrap your head around that. It sounds like Robert De Niro may not get a nomination. It's an incredibly stacked category this year, which is one of the reasons why I always say it is winning an Academy Award is one of the most absolutely impossible things to do, because not only do you have to be like the best you've ever been, but you just got to hope that there aren't 5 other people who also happen to be the best they've ever been and maybe did a little bit better than you that year. It's insanely hard. And so it's something we got to keep in mind. All right, Christopher Jungworth writes, "I think that trailer with Kylo the other day might be the opening scene to the movie. Reminded me of the opening of Return of the Jedi. Would reel us in early. Possibly. It does feel like the opening crawl just ended, right? When you watch the opening of that new trailer, which is the best Star Wars trailer in years, maybe too little too late, but it is the best Star Wars trailer they've done in years. It is a trailer that feels like the opening crawl just finished. And then the camera pans down and we got Kylo's TIE fighter zooming past, going to that planet, whatever planet it is. So it's possible. It feels maybe like it might be getting ahead of itself a little bit, but it all depends on what's in the opening crawl, right? So I wouldn't put money against it, Christopher. I wouldn't bet money against it. All right, Mr. Omega writes, "I believe in second chances, John. So here is my list again, plus 2 more. Jupiter Ascending, Jack and Jill, Armageddon, John Carter, Sucker Punch, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Battlefield Earth. If you still don't know, I'll tell you Tuesday. I mean, nope, got nothing. No idea. Okay, Orange Hand writes, "My issue with Dany's story in Game of Thrones 7 and 8 is that it seemed to leap between major plot points when there should have been more connective scenes in between." I don't know about that. I don't know that I agree with that. To me, it flowed perfectly fine. Look, the fact of the matter is Game of Thrones has past tense, so many characters. There's so many bloody characters in Game of Thrones. And so few episodes, even before season 7 and 8, so few episodes with so many characters that you're just not going to get everything you want from every single character. And I thought it flowed perfectly fine, but that's just me. Hey, listen, Orange Hand, there are a lot of people who would agree with you, though. There are a lot of people who would agree with you. I don't necessarily agree, but I think a lot of other people would. All right. Richard Karate writes, "Will we get a Ride Along 3? I don't think so. I don't think we are. We've that question's been asked many times over the years. I don't think we will. It's never impossible, but honestly, I don't think we will. Mark Bottolato writes, in the Heights trailer thoughts, really enjoyed it. Well, I talked about that yesterday. I thought it was okay. I'll be honest with you, I was not overwhelmed by the trailer. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think the movie's going to be fabulous, because, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Hamilton. I love Hamilton. I've gone to see it twice, which is not easy to do, but I liked it that much. I've gone to see it twice. It definitely has a Hamilton feel to it, so I'm going to give Lin-Manuel Miranda the benefit of the doubt. But if we're just talking about the trailer, I got to admit the trailer didn't blow me away. That doesn't mean the movie won't be great. It doesn't mean I'm not excited about the movie. I am. But the trailer didn't make me more excited. So that was just my thoughts on that. All right. Nerd Talk writes, are you a fan of the Gremlins movies? Absolutely. Who's not a fan of the Gremlins movies? Come on, man. Orlando Orrego writes, hey, John, wrote this today, Saturday, and I wanted to say thank you for your channel. I've had the best 2019 where I graduated from college and will transfer to university in the new year. Plus my birthday is Tuesday. What is your best moment of 2019? Oh, I don't know. I can't remember off the top. I would have to sit down and look over what's everything that happened in 2019. I can't remember. Hold on a second. When did I win this? This one. Oh yeah, this was the 2018. But when did I get it? Oh, talking about my Academy of Web Television Award for Best Live Series. That was a big one. I don't know. I'd have, again, it's not something I carry around off the top of my head. I'd have to think about it. I would have to think about it. But it sounds like you had a marvelous year, Orlando. And listen, you accomplished some amazing things. You graduate from college. You're making movies. You're continuing your education, which is awesome. You've got your birthday on Tuesday, which is awesome. Happy birthday to you, sir, by the way. That's fantastic. So all that good stuff. But for me, my favorite, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Oh, and I just noticed that you actually tipped $50, which, okay, so just so you know, when you tip $50 or more on the show, which I do not expect to happen often, but when it does, I will actually take your question. If there's a question in there, I will take your question and answer it in its own standalone video. And I've got 3 or 4 lined up right now that I need to do, so I'll do yours as well. So that'll give me a little bit of time, Orlando, to think about what might be my favorite moment of 2019 that I don't have the top of my head, and I'll answer it in your own standalone video. So that's what I'll do. I'll probably do that. Today's a little bit busy looking at houses, UFC fights, but I'll probably get around to doing that tomorrow. So thank you for sending that in, man. Thank you for support, and happy birthday to you, my friend. All right. Suthius writes, thoughts on Branded 2012, interesting and strange. I don't remember it off the top of my head. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Which one was this? Oh, you know what? I don't think I ever did see this one. This one was with that Lily Sobieski, the girl who looks like she's a clone of Helen Hunt 20 years younger. But I don't know that I ever saw it, to be honest with you. I know it didn't get great reviews, but I don't know that I saw it, to be honest. Jimmy Anderson writes, who sends in a large super chat. Thank you for the support, Jimmy. Appreciate that, man. 1 of 2. Howdy, John. Maybe I'm paranoid or something, so maybe you can help me out. I don't know about you, but when I am going to the theater, I do my very best trying not to annoy my fellow moviegoers. I buy Pringles so I don't disturb. I saw Dr. Sleep in the theaters, and of course, people did not care about any of that. The person behind me kicked the seat the whole time, talking through the film. Is it time to skip the theater? Well, here's the thing to me. I'm also totally paranoid about disturbing people during a movie. I'm totally there. If I feel my phone buzzing in my pocket, if I'm expecting something, like if I knew sometime today my mom was getting a hold of me or something like that, if I'm expecting something, I don't even pull it out and just take a quick peek. I get up out of my chair and I walk out of the theater, at least into the hallway behind where you enter the main theater. I'll at least walk out there and then take my phone out of my pocket just to see. If I'm not expecting anything important, I just won't even bother with it. I'll just wait till the movie's over. I have found that type of disturbance in theaters really doesn't happen to me nearly as much as it used to. I found it's gotten better over the years. It doesn't mean it doesn't still happen from time to time. It does. But I also find sometimes, like with kicking the seat, I often sometimes find a lot of people don't realize they're doing it. I'll be honest with you. There was one time I don't know why, when I'm in a movie theater, I cross my legs. And about every 10 minutes, I'll change which direction I'm crossing my legs. Like I'll cross the left over the right, then I'll cross the right over the left. And I'll do that like 20 or 30 times throughout a movie. And some movie theaters have less seating space than others. And I once had this gentleman turn around and say, "Excuse me, you've been kicking my seat," which I was mortified. I felt so bad. And he wasn't angry. He was just, "Hey, do you mind, you've been kicking my seat?" Which I didn't even realize I was doing it. And so I'm like, "Dude, thank you for letting me know. I'm so sorry about that. My apologies, won't happen again." And then I paid a little bit more attention to make sure I didn't do that. But apparently every time I was crossing my legs, my foot was pushing up against the seat and kind of making him do this every time I was doing it, right? So he just turned around. So I find a lot of times when something's going on, whether somebody's kicking my seat or something like that, I say, "Excuse me, would you mind not doing that?" Like, I think a lot of times you might find that people will react like I did. It's like, "Oh my God, I was kicking your seat. Holy shit, I'm so sorry." And, that's normally the case. But time to skip the theater? No. Listen, everybody says, "Oh, I've got a home theater system." No, your home theater system sucks. Let's just be clear. Your home theater system sucks compared to a real movie theater. I've got a 75-inch TV, gorgeous display, sound, blah, blah, blah. I got all that too, but it sucks compared to a real movie theater. The picture, the sound, but more importantly, to me, a part of the movie-going experience is going into the theater with 200 other strangers, gasping and laughing and reacting to the movie. There's a communal experience to me about going to the movies that is my favorite. I love it. I kid you not. Every day that I'm going to a movie theater, if it's not a press screening, every day that I wake up that I know me and Ann or some friends are going to the movies tonight, I'm excited. I wake up excited because I know later tonight and I'm counting down the hours till I know we're going to the movies. Going to the movies for me is still a big deal. I love it. I just look forward to it every single day. Every single day that I know I'm going to the movies to watch the movies tonight. It's a fabulous experience to me. Nothing replaces it. And if once in a while somebody's talking in the theater, once in a while I get to the back of my seat, I can deal with that. I can deal with that. Just watching a movie at home, it's great. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great, but it sucks compared to the real experience of watching movies. That's just my opinion. We all have different experiences, but that happens to be mine. So I would encourage you, Jimmy, just, next time something like that happens, just turn around politely. I say, "Hey, do you mind? Would you mind? It's kind of distracting me from the movie." I find 9 times out of 10 people, no problem. And sometimes they're jerks. And if they're jerks going, "Okay, cool." And then I would get up, go out of the theater, grab a manager and say, "Hey, listen, I paid to be here today. I've got one of your patrons here is making it really difficult to enjoy the movie. Can you please talk to them or do something about it?" That's what I would do at any rate, because it's too good of an experience to let other people ruin for you. That's just my thought on that. Anyway, dude, thanks for writing that in, and thank you for supporting the channel on that level, man. We appreciate it. All right, Matthew Koss writes, "What did you think of Tom Welling's scene in Crisis? Total waste." Don't get me wrong, it was neat seeing him there, but I'm like, really? That's what all this hubbub was about? Tom Welling's returning for Crisis. Tom Welling's returning for Crisis. And that was it? I'll be honest with you, I was let down. I mean, it was cool. It was cool to see him there, but it's like, really? So there was no point to him being there. Much like the Lucifer appearance. And I love Lucifer, but yeah, kind of a waste, in my opinion. Mickey Altieri writes, "Does Disney now actually own the Avatar IP, or does James Cameron own it and Disney only have the distribution rights to the franchise?" I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure. James Cameron didn't pay. Here's the thing. James Cameron did not pay for the production of Avatar. The studio paid for it. So it was a Disney production. Or, sorry, at the time, it was a Fox production. So I'm going to guess, just guessing, because I don't know for sure, but my guess here is I believe Disney probably owns the IP. I wouldn't doubt it if James Cameron has ownership interest in it as well. That wouldn't surprise me in the least. But I've got a feeling Disney probably owns the IP. Again, could be wrong about that, but I know James Cameron didn't actually pay for the production of the movies, and that's usually what the IP owners do. So I'm not 100% sure, but my guess is Disney owns it, with James Cameron having an ownership interest. Just my guess. I could be wrong about that. If you guys have some information that's different than that, I would love a link to it or whatever. Jump into the comments section and let the rest of us know. That would be good to know, because this is a good question, Mickey. All right, let's see. Harry Mudd writes, let this be the hour when we draw swords together, fell deeds awake, now for wrath, now for ruin, the red dawn forth. It is one of the great moments of Theoden, because, look, Theoden has never been considered one of the major characters of the Lord of the Rings films. He's never been considered one of the major characters of the films. That said, when you actually sit down and go through all of his moments in the movie, and in the movies, plural, when you actually go through all of his moments in the movies, he is one of the best characters. And it took me a few years to really realize that he's actually one of the best characters in this movie. Again, to me, one of the great man moments in any movie is when Strider comes running in and goes, God, the torches have been lit. Gondor calls for aid. And Theoden, looking as manly as ever any man in the history of man has ever looked, gets a little furl in his chin. And Rohan shall answer. Fuck! Are you kidding? Like, you guys know me. I freak out whenever I think about it. That is one of the greatest grrr moments in the history of cinema. And Rohan shall answer. Oh! That's some good stuff right there. That is some good stuff. But again, Harry, like, his stuff it's filled with great stuff. Okay, anyway, from Theoden. Okay, the Battle of Helm's Deep from Harry in Two Towers has always awed me more so than the Battle of Pelennor Field and the Battle of the Black Gate in Return of the King. Listen, I love the Battle of Helm's Deep. Love Battle of Helm's Deep. It's remarkable. It's ridiculous. It's one of the greatest things I'd ever seen on a movie screen when it happened. I mean, it just was one of the most awe-inspiring, incredible experiences watching on a movie screen when it happened. But I thought Return of the King topped it. Not the Battle of the Black Gate. Not yet, but I really do feel like that the final confrontation of Gondor, that to me, it topped it and remains to this day one of the most awe-inspiring things I'd ever seen on screen. And I'll tell you what, this is going to be controversial. A lot of people aren't going to like that I say this. It kicks the shit out of the final battle in Endgame. I mean, the thing about the final battle at Endgame is it's great, but it's only great because we recognize all these characters that come running. It's a lot of fan service. It's great. I enjoyed it. I was in awe. I freaked out when I watched it. But I mean, really, it's just a lot of fan service. That battle at the end of Lord of the Rings, I mean, to this day, might be the most epic thing I've ever seen on screen. That and the final space battle in Return of the Jedi as well, which is the greatest space battle of all time. But yeah, man, a lot of good stuff in there. Michael Redhead writes, one of two. I just watched Ready or Not. If nobody told me, would have still left thinking Samantha Weaving was Margot Robbie. 1, do you agree? 2, is this good or bad for either of them? I.e., if you don't want to do Suicide Squad 3, we'll just get Samantha. Listen, when I was watching the movie, and by the way, Ready or Not, it was one of the great little pleasant surprise movies of the year. It really is so much fun. I enjoyed Ready or Not very, very much. I thought it was a better version of Cabin in the Woods. There's a lot of similar DNA between Cabin in the Woods and Ready or Not, and I think I actually preferred Ready or Not, but whatever. There were so many people who went through all the trailers and then went into the movie thinking they were going to see Margot Robbie, because my God, she looks so much like Margot Robbie in those trailers. Now, if I still didn't know and then I was watching the movie, I would have gone, oh yeah, that's not Margot Robbie. That's clearly not Margot Robbie. But holy crap, in the posters, in the trailers, there are many, many people, Michael. You are not alone, my friend. You are not alone. There are a lot of people who still to this day just think that was Margot Robbie starring in Ready or Not. And you can't blame them. Because, yeah, you could totally see it. But I think watching the movie itself, you can tell. But posters and trailers, yeah, man. Yeah, I think there's still a lot of people that don't realize that it wasn't her. All right, Harry Mudd writes, congrats with the 100 million views, John. Awesome. Thank you so much. And it's exciting. Of course, we're having our big, do I still have the thing here? I do. So this Tuesday, we are going to go, we're having our 100 million view event. That's going to be this Tuesday in Burbank at a little theater in Burbank here, and it's all sold out. So don't worry about going to where you can get tickets. It's sold out, unfortunately. So there aren't any more tickets available. But very, very excited about doing that, and it's going to be a great next couple of days. This is great. I mean, seriously, today we hit 100 million views. We're going to go look at a house. We got friends coming to watch UFC. Tomorrow, Ann and I are going to Disneyland, which is always great. Monday, we got the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker premiere. Tuesday morning, I'm going to go see another viewing of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker at a press screening. In the evening, we've got the 100 million view party. It's just a really good color. Look, for all the crap we always go through in our days, and the really sucky stretches all of us go through in our days, it's really cool. You got to appreciate the moment when you have a really good day or a really good couple of days. You just got to celebrate it and savor it and enjoy it. And I got a really good couple of days coming up, so I'm pretty happy about that. Anyway, so thanks for that, Harry. All right, Robert Perez writes, Fortnite just had a Star Wars event. Must see. Oh, that's interesting. Really? I played a little bit of Fortnite. Oh my God, I sucked. Here's the funny thing about me playing Fortnite. I played about 30 games. I played about 30 times. I never failed, I believe, maybe I'm not remembering, but I believe I never failed to get into the top 20. And I believe out of all, and I even got into the top 5 a few times. I never won. But I played 30 times, always getting in the top 20, sometimes in the top 10, once in a while in the top 5, and I never once successfully killed anybody. I'm not kidding. I was terrible at that game, man. Just absolutely brutally bad at that game. So bad I finally just gave up on it. But yeah, so that sounds interesting. All right, Marley V writes, hey, John, would love your take on why the Academy seems to ignore the horror genre. Last year, Toni Collette had the best performance of the year for Hereditary. I don't know that I agree with that. And no nomination. I was shocked she didn't get a nomination. Same with Florence Pugh this year for Midsommar. Unfair much? No. She did not deserve a nomination for that. It's all subjective and up to personal opinion, absolutely for sure. But I'm not saying she wasn't very good. She was good. Don't get me wrong. Don't misinterpret me. She was quite good. Oscar caliber? No, especially when you look at the performances that are getting the nominations for that. And by the way, Midsommar, isn't that a movie? Isn't that from this year? Midsommar's this year. So, and the Academy nominations haven't come out yet. So I don't know why you're complaining about her not getting a nomination when the Academy nominations haven't even come out yet. Now, Golden Globe nominations have come out. The Screen Actors Guild have come out. And by the way, the Screen Actors Guild is made up of all actors. It's all the actors in Hollywood that make that up, the SAG Awards. But I'm going to disagree. But one to me that did stand out legitimately was Toni Collette, because I thought she deserved a nomination. I totally thought she deserved a nomination. And while I did not think she would be a frontrunner win, I thought she was totally in the conversation to win. But here's the thing, Marley. Just because, this person didn't get nominated this one year, I don't think that equates to the Academy ignores the horror genre. I don't think that's a cause and effect thing. I just don't. And look, let's be honest. The vast majority of the time, the horror movies sometimes are very good and whatever, but there haven't been many horror movies that would be legitimate Oscar contenders. Some, not many. So I'm in agreement with you that the Toni Collette thing has always bewildered me. I was really surprised she didn't get a nomination. But that was one thing. The Academy Award nominations for this year have not come out yet, but I do not believe Florence deserves a nomination. That's just me. Some other people might think she does. But the Screen Actors Guild didn't think she did. So, I mean, it's that. So I don't agree. I don't think the Academy ignores the horror genre. I think they look at everything, and if they think something is worthy of something, whether it's from this genre, that genre, or the other genre. I mean, look, it looks like Robert De Niro isn't going to get an Academy Award. Does that mean they ignore Robert De Niro? Well, obviously not. But just this year, she might not get it. But all day, every day, Marley, I will always be confused. I will always be confused how Toni Collette did not get a nomination for Hereditary. Again, I don't necessarily think she was a lock to win, but I still don't get that because she was so freaking good and everybody seemed to know she was so freaking good. So that one will always be confusing to me for sure. Nerds of Porn writes, John, do you think that with the Rise of Skywalker clip, that the theory of Palpatine being a Force ghost to Kylo from the beginning is true? He uses both Vader and Snoke's voices, and the line "in your head" makes it sound real to me. I don't know. Look, Snoke, remember, in The Last Jedi, Snoke was manipulating the Force visions that both Kylo and Rey were having of each other, right? He was able to get into their heads and manipulate all that kind of stuff. He wasn't a Force ghost. So Palpatine doesn't need to be, Palpatine could very well just be alive. Maybe he is dead. Maybe he is a ghost. Maybe. But I don't think anything that happened in this clip confirms that because we saw Snoke doing similar things and he was alive doing it. Ergo, we don't need Palpatine to be dead or a ghost in order to be able to do that. Because we've already seen that's something that can be done to a degree, even with a living character. So no, I do not think that confirms that. It's a possibility. It's still a possibility, but it doesn't confirm it yet. We will find out in, when am I seeing it? 24, 48, about 56 hours from now, I will know the answer. In about 56 hours from now, I will know the answer to that question. But no, I don't think that confirms it at this point. So it's still a possibility, but I don't think it confirms it. All right, next up, Harry Mudd writes, been binging on Sonic X today. I have no idea what that is. Plus watching Two Towers. I could tell you were watching some Two Towers. What a great movie. You know what? It's been a beat since I've done my kind of annual, I might be behind since I've done my annual sit down and watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I got to do that soon. I got to do that real soon. Because I'm a little bit behind, but I have no idea what Sonic X is, unfortunately. Terry Giordano writes, Hi, John. Happy Saturday. Thank you very much. Daughter and I just logged into Fortnite and saw a fantastic Star Wars special event broadcast live with the game around 2:30 today. Falcon landed and out came JJ to announce and roll an exclusive clip on Rise of Skywalker called Jedi Mind Trick. Very cool. I have not seen it myself. I didn't even know about it. Somebody else just mentioned it a minute ago. So, as soon as we're done the show today, as soon as we're done the live stream today, I'm going to have to go and watch me some of that because that sounds pretty damn good. All right, Harry Mudd writes, I'm chilling it, John. Have a grand old time. Well, thank you so much, Harry. Jock Cop writes, just got finished The Expanse Season 4. I have not, don't spoil anything. I still haven't even watched the first episode yet. I still have not watched the first episode of Season 4 yet, so don't say anything. You can really see that F.U. I'm Jeff Bezos money kick in. Scope and production values are much better. Really? Writing and acting as good as ever. Best show on TV. It's never been the best show on TV to me, but I've really enjoyed The Expanse. That is one of those shows, kind of like My Hero Academia, that I had never watched. But I finally got told by so many of you guys, John, you got to watch The Expanse. You got to watch The Expanse. You got to watch The Expanse. That I finally caved in. I'm like, okay, I'll try The Expanse. Loved it. I'm so on board with The Expanse. And especially when you consider how last season ended and then it got canceled and then, Amazon came along and saved it. And now season 4 is up and I haven't even started yet and I can't wait to do it. And it's going to be interesting to see what a show that's that such, Robert Meyer Burnett calls it the best sci-fi in TV in ages. Once you take that kind of writing and storytelling and add maybe double the budget, add a real, and by the way, they always did a very good job, even with a limited budget. I always thought that Expanse did a very good job with their effects and stuff like that. But it's going to be interesting to see what they can do when they have even more at their disposal. All right, thanks for sharing that, Jock Cop. All right, Jeremy Shibasu writes, Bradley Cooper produces Joker. Wow, didn't know. Yeah, but it's one of those things. That's the thing. The term producer in Hollywood is very nebulous. It can mean a lot of things. I really have a lot of doubts that Bradley Cooper had anything creatively to do with the movie whatsoever. Again, somebody can be a producer on something and have nothing to do with it. I mean, really. Somebody can be a producer on a movie and have been intricately involved with every step along the way. It's just one of those really weird things. All right, Harry Mudd writes, Danny was a great actor. RIP, talking about Danny Aiello. Yes, I was blown away when you told us he had passed yesterday. Yeah, it's so unfortunate. But again, as Robert pointed out, dude lived an incredible life with an incredible career. And we will always be able to appreciate and watch his work moving forward. So thanks for sending that in, Jeremy. All right, Jaron writes, Hey, John, congratulations on your accomplishment. Question. Do you think in Last of Us 2, the Fireflies will appear, and do you think they will touch up on the lie Joel told Ellie? Oh, you know that's going to be a part of it. Like, you know that's going to come into play for sure. That was one of the big dangling threads from the last game, so that's coming into it for sure. But there not being a way to make sure when we know what happened in Hosp. I can't remember what Hosp is. Anyway, I mean, I don't know. And I am very much looking forward to Last of Us 2. The Last of Us cutscene movie, which I think the version I watched was something along the ridiculous realm of like 16 hours long, or longer than the season of The Mandalorian. When I watched that, I was so taken by the storytelling of it. Everybody says people play video games like to pretend that video game stories are like just like movie stories. No, they're not. No, they are absolutely not. But there are some that are the exception. And I thought Last of Us was one of them. Last of Us was one. Uncharted 4 Thief's End was one of them. God of War is the most recent one, the one game of the year. That is one of them. There are a few, but the story of Last of Us is incredible, and they put a lot of character into that. They really do. And I'm very excited to see what they do with this next one. But yeah, that thing about the lie, that's got to be a part of it. That's got to be a part of it. It has to. You can't just gloss over that. It's just too big of a hanging thread. All right. Harry Mudd writes, seen a movie called Quiet Earth, John? A post-apocalypse film from New Zealand? Nope. Never heard of it, unfortunately. We'll watch. Let me look it up. Maybe I have. But I don't recall the name of it. Quiet Earth. Oh, from 1985? No, never seen that one. Never even heard of it, as a matter of fact, Harry. That's a new one on my radar. All right, Ben writes, so JJ hinted to a Japanese reporter yesterday that Ahsoka Tano may make an appearance in Rise of Skywalker. Have you heard anything related? No. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. The time frame just doesn't add up properly. So I'm going to go ahead and say I doubt it. But doubting is not the same as I know it doesn't happen. I don't like the Ahsoka Tano character. I've never made that a secret. So I really don't care to see her in it. And I doubt she's going to be in it. But it's possible. Everything's on the table when it comes to J.J. Abrams. Anything can happen there. All right. Tahir Patel writes, Hey, John, there's a rumor that a 6-minute prologue for Nolan's next movie, Tenet, will be shown before Star Wars. Do you think this is true? I wouldn't doubt it. That is something that would be very much in the wheelhouse of how Warner Brothers does and handles Christopher Nolan films. And we've seen things like this before. It doesn't happen a lot, but there have been examples where like a 7-minute scene, like I remember, what was it? I think it was The Hobbit, that if you went and watched The Hobbit, you got to see the first like 7 minutes or something like that of the upcoming Star Trek movie, which I think was the 3rd Star Trek film. And they did that. It's happened before. They have done stuff like that before. So I wouldn't put that by them. I don't know anything for sure firsthand myself, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that, to be honest. All right. Henry B writes, 1 of 3. Hey, John, A new subscriber from Toronto. Well, thank you for that. I used to live in Toronto for a little bit. Most of my life was spent in Hamilton, but I spent a little time, particularly when I was in university. I spent some time in Toronto. Love your show and your team. Thank you so much. Just found out Erin was Sora from my favorite show, Spartacus. Oh, yes, she was. Love her more even now. Question, as a comic book fan, in particular Spider-Man, in 10 years, do you see the sequel trilogy main character being held... Do you see the sequel trilogy? Let me try this again. As a comic book fan in particular, Spider-Man, in 10 years, do you see the sequel trilogy? I'm not sure I understand what sequel trilogy. Oh, wait a minute. That's not Henry B's question. Okay, I gotta skip over. Okay, that's why I was like, wait, what are we talking about? Okay, so Harry B writes, question, as a comic book fan, in particular Spider-Man rocking the Scarlet Spider tattoo, does it bother you that Spider-Man's mask comes off way too often in the movies? His identity was priority number one in order to keep his friends and family safe from his enemies. This is my biggest issue and find it not in line with the comics. What is your take on this? Okay, so my take on this, and you're not wrong, it does seem like that a lot. By the way, even a show like Arrow, which I really liked early on, but I felt like every week Arrow was, I'm Arrow. Next week, I'm Arrow to somebody else. Flash, same thing. Just so you know, I'm the Flash. I mean, that happens a lot in these types of superhero shows and movies. I'll say this. The job of making the movies is not to stay in line with the comic books. That's not the job of filmmakers. And I know comic book fans get all upset when I say it, but it's the truth. The job of a director and of filmmakers is not to make a movie that is totally in line with the comic books. The job of directors and filmmakers is to make the best movie possible. That is why, and you guys who've watched me for any period of time, you've heard me say this before. That is why Civil War is nothing like the Civil War comic series. That's why X-Men Days of Future Past, the movie, is hardly anything like X-Men Days of Future Past, the comic series. Yes, there's thematic similarities, but they take way huge creative liberties because their job is not to make a direct translation of the comic book. Their job is to make the best movie possible based on that thing. If they feel in a movie that there's a dramatic purpose to, in a moment, have Peter take off his mask, then you do it. If they feel this is what serves the movie right now, this is what serves the movie best, then you do it. You don't become encumbered by the fact, but, he wouldn't do it in the comic book. You don't care about that. You don't care about that. That's not the point of the movie. The comic books are the comic books. The movies are the movies. Okay, we really got to keep that in mind. And it's not about whether or not we think it should be that way or not, but that's the way it is. The comics are the comics, the movies are the movies. The movies are inspired by and based on the comics, sure, but they are movies. They're a totally different medium that have different things work than things on a printed page would work, and you got to adapt and you got to make the best movie possible. And how often he takes off the mask is, again, it's an issue about, and the appropriateness of him taking off his mask is not a question of, well, he does or doesn't do it in the comic books. It's a question of, is that what serves the movie best right now? And if it creates the dramatic moment that we want in the movie right now for him to do it, then that's what you do. You know what I mean? So I get it. Yeah, keeping your identity is a number one priority, blah, blah. But look, they all do it. Even in the comics, Peter has revealed his identity to many people. Batman has revealed his identity to many people. Superman has revealed his identity to many people. So yes, the whole pathos, if you will, of the comic book superhero, at least the ones in masks, is to protect themselves and the ones they love. That's common. That's a very, very common thing. But that has never really stopped the vast majority of them, even in the comics, from time to time revealing who they are to somebody for some purpose. So it might feel that happens more often than not in a movie, fine, but that's kind of the thing on that. So that's my take on it at any rate, Henry B. That's my take on it. All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. All right, now we go back to Valhalla Erickson, who I was confusing. Like, what are we talking about? Okay, Valhalla Erickson writes, in 10 years, Do you see the sequel trilogy, talking about Star Wars, not Spider-Man, main characters being held in the same regard as the original trilogy main characters? No, I don't see any movie ever having their characters being held in such iconic status as the original trilogy of Star Wars does. No movie, let alone not the Star Wars ones either. Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Han Solo. I'm sorry, no movies are going to be where those characters are going to still be as held and beloved and known and whatever, not whether they're the Star Wars new trilogy or any other movies. Your favorite movie, unless it's Star Wars, does not have characters as iconic and beloved throughout generations as the original characters. So no, the answer to that question is absolutely not. And I would have said that before the sequel trilogy came out, and I'm telling it to you now. No, that doesn't mean that there aren't great characters in all these other movies, and it doesn't mean there's not great characters in the Star Wars, the new sequel trilogy, but will they be as? No. Because 99.99999999999% of all movies come out will never have characters as iconic or as held and beloved as the original characters from the original Star Wars trilogy. It's just the way it is. So there you go. That's my thoughts on that at any rate. So no, I do not think that is the case. All right. Man Mountain Gherkin writes, 2019 top 10. Number 1, Rocket Man. Really? See, I liked Rocket Man quite a bit, but I didn't like it that much. Like I enjoyed it. I went back and watched it again. I thought it was a really good movie, but hey, it is what it is. 2, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Again, not a movie I loved. 3, Ford v Ferrari. That I love. 4, Jojo Rabbit. That I love. 5, Joker. That I love. Number 6, Knives Out. Number 7, Endgame. Number 8, Won't You Be My Neighbor. Number 9, Fighting with My Neighbor. Fighting with My Neighbor? I think you probably I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you mean Fighting with My Family, which that is probably the most underappreciated movie of the year. Number 10, Judy / Harriet. Nice picks again, but Rocket Man and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is one I wish I could have liked more because I'm such a big fan of Quentin Tarantino. But to me, not his best work. Very self-indulgent movie. Very, very self-indulgent movie. Is that one to me. I still enjoyed it, and the performances are fantastic. She gets some Academy Awards. But hey, you know what? Like Rocket Man, Taron Egerton just got a SAG nomination for Best Lead Actor of the Year over Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro and Irishman didn't get a nomination, but Taron Egerton did. So there's something there for that. Like, again, we were coming off a year where we just saw Bohemian Rhapsody, and I thought Bohemian Rhapsody was the superior movie compared to Rocket Man. But a lot of people really deeply love that movie. I appreciated it very much, and Taron Egerton was wonderful in it. So there's that. All right. Man Mountain Gherkin writes, there you go. I meant Fighting with My Family. No problem. I caught on. I knew what you were going for. And by the way, if you have not seen Fighting with My Family, I know it looks ridiculous. It's got way more heart than you'd think, and it's got way more laughs than you think, too. So go check that out. David Tapia writes, In the Heights trailer looks awesome, man. I can't wait. Again, I wasn't blown away by it, but it's Lin-Manuel Miranda. I love Hamilton. I have a big feeling that the movie's going to be great. I didn't love the trailer, but I still think the movie's going to be great. Let's see. CO2 writes, who's your favorite Game of Thrones actor? Sean Bean. Sean Bean. Even though he's only in one season, he was great. The guy, why am I forgetting his name? The guy who played the Lannisters' patriarch that was murdered sitting on the toilet, that Tyrion killed. He was he's brilliant. The guy who played Mormont, he was great. Yeah, But yeah, Sean Bean is my favorite actor in Game of Thrones of all time. Yuri Mani writes, saw Frozen 2 today with my kids. We all loved it. I was surprised. Like, I like the first Frozen movie. I know that's not cool to say. I know that's not the popular thing to say. I like the first Frozen movie. I thought it was quite good. I like the second one even more. I really enjoyed the second one. Not the best movie of the year, not the best animated film of the year or anything, but I thought it was really, really good. I enjoyed it too, Yuri. All right. Michael Bradley writes, hello, John. What was more shocking, Spider-Man coming back to the MCU or James Gunn coming back for Guardians 3? Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. I'm going to say James Gunn coming back, and here's why. Because While there were a lot of us, including me, that said for a long time, Spider-Man will never be back in the MCU. Will never be back in the MCU. You got to remember, around that time, it wasn't the Sony email leaks. It was the fact that Sony as a company was getting in some real financial trouble. And it was around that time, I was still doing AMC at the time. And if you guys watch, you guys remember around that time, as more and more as questions would start coming in about, do you think we'll ever see Spider-Man in the MCU again? I started to change my view of that a little bit and saying, well, I used to say no way, never. But now that the circumstances have changed, now Sony's in financial trouble. There are some struggles there. Listen, I still don't know that we ever will, but it is more possible today than ever before. It could, maybe it could, but still when they announced it, it was surprising. And I still remember where I was when the announcement, I was in Atlantic City. I was in Atlanta and I was walking into a hotel. It was me and Dennis, and I think Amy Rose was with us too. I think it was the three of us. We were walking into a hotel. It was like 11 o'clock at night or something. And checked our phones and we saw the news break. Sony, Marvel, make a deal. Spider-Man's going to appear in the MCU. It was huge. But we saw some indicators that it could be happening because of the at the time, the financial situation of Sony, which their new CEO has now corrected. And so they're in a much better place now. But we all sort of saw it coming, that maybe the possibility was coming. The James Gunn thing, that caught us all. It was good news, but once Alan Horn, and again, I've been very critical of Alan Horn and Disney about how they handled the James Gunn situation, but I really felt like, well, he's already dug in his heels. He made a public statement, we're no longer going to have business associations with James Gunn, blah, 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 done. Which I thought was a mistake. I didn't like the way he handled it, all that kind of stuff, but it seemed like that's not something they can ever walk back. And then all of a sudden they did, which was great, but I'm going to say the James Gunn thing was more shocking. I'm going to say that was more shocking. Unless, of course, you're talking about Spider-Man coming back now, but he never really left. They said he was going to leave, but he never really, it all depends. All right, Oxynor writes, they released another more exclusive footage for The Rise of Skywalker in the online video game Fortnite, an actual scene of the movie at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, Saturday. You should check it out after the show because it will pop up on YouTube soon. Very interesting. Again, yeah, I've had a few people writing that in, and I'm like, oh, okay, I want to see it. What are you talking about? Obviously, I don't suspect it'll give anything too much away, but I'm still very curious to see it, so I will definitely do that, Oxynor. As soon as the show's over, I'm going to go check that out. All right, next up. College opt-out, I like that name, writes. First time ripping, probably meant tipping, but thank you for ripping anyway, college opt-out. I'm not even a huge movie fan besides Marvel and Star Wars, but I love your content and most importantly, your work ethic. I'm starting a business too and listening to you when I do research. Your work ethic is inspiring. Congrats on 100 million views. Well, thank you so much for that college opt-out. I really appreciate that. And, you know, I'm one of these guys that listen, I'll never take away from this. I work my ass off. I do. I work a lot of hours. I work very long hours. But I love what I do. And I'm blessed that I get to do what I do. And I'm blessed that we have a film fan community that makes me want to do it. And we have a film fan community that makes me want to do the best that I can and all that kind of stuff. So it is awesome to have you here, my friend. Thank you for being here and good luck. First of all, number one, congratulations on starting your own business. That's always a leap of faith. So good luck to you in getting that going. I hope it goes well. And thank you for being a part of our community. Even if you're not the biggest film fan in the world, I appreciate you being here, man. So thank you for that. All right. Paco San Miguel writes, but John, what about the battle, the battle of the Gungans? By the way, not a bad battle, except for all the stupidness they do. Let's see. Patrick Talks writes, can I expect episode reviews of The Witcher? Probably. Here's the problem, though. Netflix does not, the whole releasing the whole series at one thing does not lend itself to episode reviews. It just doesn't. This is a problem we always faced, even going back to the AMC days. It's much better to me when you have one episode come out one week and we can all talk about it and blah, 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 and then look forward to the next week and then do it again. Netflix puts out. So what you can probably expect from me is a review of The Witcher in its entirety, but probably not an episode by episode review, because what's the point of it? Okay, guys, we're going to do a review of episode number 1, but there's going to be people watching it who've already watched the whole season in the first night. And it makes it a mess. So Netflix does not lend themselves to doing that. So you will get I will review the series as a whole. I will not do it episode by episode, unfortunately. Mr. Kaplan writes, "Hey, John, why do you think Netflix cancels popular shows like Santa Clarita Diet? Is it all a numbers game? Thanks and much love." But who says it's popular? That's the thing. You don't know how many people actually watch it. And the other thing is, too, it's all about finances. Look, if them making that show was making them money, they would continue to do it. But once a show gets to the point that spending money on making this show, we are not getting income as a result of this show to the same degree that we're putting money into it to make it. And so we can sit here and say it's popular all we want, but the reality is, who watched it? Like, you can say, for instance, Firefly. Oh, it was so popular. Well, the ratings didn't say it was all that popular. And then it got pulled off the air. It's like, oh, everybody rally around it. Then they put out the movie Serenity, which is awesome, and nobody watched it. So, I mean, they cancel shows. It's simple. It's business. When they believe we are going to spend more money on this show than what this show will ultimately be responsible for bringing money in. And once you hit that, you kill the show. That's just the way they do it. All right. Michael Redhead writes, one of 3. All right, here we go. 2008, my wife says she was pregnant. I went bonkers with joy. She was joking. Oh, that's harsh. That is harsh. 2010, when she was, my reaction was, meh, because you've been burned once before, right? Then Michael also writes, when Thanos stabbed Tony in Infinity War, I jumped out of my seat and my whole body went cold. Roll on a year, the snap in Endgame, I felt nothing. Yep. Has a movie ever robbed you of a moment in a similar way? Seriously, Michael, and then we'll get back to Eric here. That is the problem. Like somebody say, John, why do you complain so much about fake deaths? The reason I complain about fake deaths, when they're overused, a fake death in a movie can be great, but when fake deaths are overused, what it really does was it takes out for you as an audience member any sense of stakes. So yes, when I watched Tony get lanced through, I didn't really worry about it. I mean, it's a shocking moment, but it's like, and I didn't think he was going to live, but I thought, oh, it doesn't matter because he's just going to come back in a couple years anyway. But as it turns out, he didn't die. Okay. Because apparently his magic nano suit even has magic healing properties. Just spray this magic foam into my gut and I'm all good. Whatever. But it's the same reason why when Tom Holland was laying on the ground going, I don't want to go, Mr. Stark. I don't want to go. And I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't matter. It's the MCU. It's the fake death universe. He's going to be back any minute now. None of these are going to stick. Seriously. When comic book movie characters die, I generally don't feel much. Because, particularly in the MCU, they just bring them all back anyway. You know? When what could have been a powerful one, when Nick Fury dies in Winter Soldier, I'm like, no, I don't believe he's dead. I don't believe he's dead. Because it's the MCU. It's the Marvel Cinematic Fake Death Universe. He'll be back next movie. But he didn't even come back the next movie. He came back later that same movie. That is, and by the way, again, I keep freezing on, who was it again that made it? Anyway, there's a great little film on YouTube. It's about, I can't remember how long it is, like 20 minutes long, maybe less. Talking about the death of Superman Lives and the return of Superman and how the return of Superman kind of ruined comic books. And it's all about the whole fake death issue. And Max Landis, that's who did. And I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding Max Landis right now. I get it, but it doesn't take away that this little thing he made on YouTube is it's poignant. You should check it out. And that's why I complain about fake deaths, is because they take away what could be big dramatic moments. So when we get into Endgame and Tony dies, I didn't feel anything. I love the movie and I love the moment. I thought it was a very well done moment, but I didn't feel anything because I know he's just going to come back in a couple of years. Maybe even less than that. So, yeah. So I'm with you, Michael. Believe me, I am with you. I've been talking about this for years. It's a big issue to me. All right. Eric Garcia writes, in an interview, Mr. McDiarmid, that's the guy who plays Palpatine, Ian McDiarmid, on Star Wars Coffee YouTube channel, mentions he spent most of his time acting with Adam and Daisy. No matter how big or small his role is on screen or screen time, can't wait to see his magic again. Greetings from Texas, and have a great weekend, man. Listen, I'm telling you, at Star Wars Celebration, when they played that first teaser, and then the lights come up, and just Ian McDiarmid was there on stage, everybody lost their minds. I don't just mean in that theater. I mean around the world. We all lost our minds. I love Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor. The Emperor is my wife's all-time favorite Star Wars character. He is also my dark side, light side partner, Christian Harloff. McDiarmid and Palpatine is his all-time favorite Star Wars character. He is just great, and I am very much looking forward to seeing. I'm curious to find out how they're going to do it, what they're doing in it, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm really curious to see it. All right, let's see here. Next up, Experience Today sends in a ridiculously large super chat. Thank you, Experience Today. Wow, thank you for supporting the channel on that level. You just paid Ray's salary for the day, so thank you for that. Anyway, Experience Today writes, and I'm still kind of taken aback by that, writes, been watching daily since you started your own, so I wanted to make up for lost time. Your show, Aaron, Rob, Chris, Ray, and Ann, and others are brilliant. My wife and I are huge movie fans now. Thanks to you and the gang. Merry Christmas. Aw, dude, seriously. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for acknowledging the other people who I've got around here, and because everybody just does such a great job, like Rob, Aaron, Chris, Ray, fact checker Jonathan, as well. The honor of doing a show like this with the viewers that we have and the community that we have. It's just amazing. And thank you for your acknowledgement of that. I mean, not just by saying it, but by actually supporting the content that you enjoy watching. So thank you so much for that, dude. Really, I don't know what to say. I feel like I should have something really profound to say. When like somebody sends in support on that level, I feel like I should have something profound to say. Unfortunately, I don't have anything that profound to say. What else is new? But thank you so much for that. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you guys as well. And thank you for being here. And again, thank you for being one of those people who doesn't just watch the content you enjoy, you actually support the content you enjoy. And I appreciate that very, very much. So from myself and everybody else involved with the channel, thank you for supporting us on that level, man. All right. Again, I feel like I should say more, but I don't know what else to say about that. Thank you, dude. And the final question today, guys, and then we're wrapping it up, comes to us from Valhalla Erickson, who writes, Homelander, best TV villain as of recently. I don't know if the best, maybe the best. Homelander is a great villain for a TV show, particularly the way he's used in that show in particular. When you look at the way how he's used in The Boys, it's just amazing because there's depth to him. He's not just a one-dimensional mustache twirling thing. He's a guy who, look, we've always said for a long time, the most terrifying villains are the ones that think they're the good guys. Homelander totally thinks he's it. He believes that. And that's what makes him so dangerous and so scary and all that kind of stuff too. And it's like, there you go. Let's see. Michael Redhead just slips in one last question here, or comment real quick. Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy got me. Oh, yeah, when she died, I agree. Oh, I completely agree. I completely agree. That was a moment that got me. Now, the thing about the Gwen Stacy one, too, is that we all knew, because Peter Parker is destined for Mary Jane Watson. We all know he's destined for Mary Jane Watson, right? So that's fine. When the death of that death scene was crazy, and they really made you feel like they were about to prevent her death scene. But when the the web hits her and her body snaps and her head smacks on the floor. Oh God, you're right. That is one absolutely that got me in the comic book movies for sure. All right, Jay Master also slipped one in here. It looks like he's got a second one coming. So one of two. Hey, John. Yesterday, an article came out from Hollywood Reporter that there is a Power Rangers reboot in the works at Paramount Pictures. Jonathan Entwistle is in early negotiations to direct a feature film. Also, he created the Netflix series, The End of the Effing World. Yeah, so look, we knew when Hasbro, and again, I got to give a disclaimer that Hasbro provides half of my household income, because Anne, of course, is at Hasbro. But when Hasbro bought Power Rangers, they said right away that they're going to be developing and expanding all aspects of Power Rangers in multiple mediums and all that kind of stuff, including movies. So we knew that was going to come. What a lot of people didn't know, although we should have known, was some people still speculate they're going to do a sequel to the last Power Rangers movie. It's like that last Power Rangers movie lost a ton of money. They're not going to do a sequel to it. They're going to reboot. And I still feel confident about that. Although I have not read the Hollywood Reporter article yet. So maybe they give some caveats in there, but I'm thinking they're not going to reboot, or they're not going to do a sequel to the last one, even though I like the last movie. I did, surprisingly. So not a big surprise that they're doing that. And it's going to be interesting to see. But so Hasbro and Paramount working together on this. It's going to be really interesting to see where they go. Again, it's going to be tough because I actually thought the latest Power Rangers movie, and I've never been a Power Rangers guy, I thought the last movie was quite entertaining. I had a good time with it. Top 10 movie of the year? No. But I had a good time with it, and I never thought I would. Unfortunately, they made a pretty good movie, and it still flopped horribly. So what do you do now? What do you do with this movie now? How do you make a movie when we made a good one and it flopped? Well, then now what do we do? So it's going to be interesting to see the creative challenge that they have ahead of them and how they kind of evolve that whole thing. And then Serenity Lotus just sends in a super chat to be supportive. Thank you, Serenity Lotus. I appreciate that. And guys, that'll do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you guys so much for being here and being part of the show today. Of course, special thank you to all you guys who sent in all those questions, not just because you gave us great fun things to talk about today, but also because you supported the channel along the way as well. And myself and everybody who's associated with the channel, we all thank you deeply for that. Tomorrow evening, guys, just so you know, we are going to be doing an open spoiler discussion video of Jumanji: The Next Level. I had a good time with it. I didn't like it quite as much as the first one, but I really enjoyed the new Jumanji: The Next Level. So tomorrow evening, we're going to be having an open spoiler discussion. Keep your eyes open for that. And then, of course, on Monday, the John Campea Show returns with me and Robert Meyer Burnett. Tuesday, don't forget, guys, there is no John Campea Show on Tuesday, because I'm going to another screening of The Rise of Skywalker that morning. So I'm taking that day off, but I'll probably put up a little video later in the afternoon anyway. And then, of course, we've got but on Tuesday, Christian Harloff and I are doing Dark Side, Light Side this Tuesday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then as soon as we're done that, we're going to be going right over to the 100 million view party. So hopefully some of you guys are going to be there and be a part of that. All right, guys. That will do it for me for today's installment. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.